Shalom Aleichem, peace be upon you. This is your favorite spiritual advisor, Kefa Shemuel ben Yosef. There's me. And I am bringing y'all my review and the notes that I took from the newly released Netflix movie called The Deliverance. Since it has been trending, I wanted to give my input as someone who has a lot of experience in this field and has been in quote-unquote deliverance ministry, as cliched of a term as that can be, for the past 10 plus years. Now, I would like to emphasize this very fact that I grew up as a seer. I grew up being able to see spirits, feel people's energy, had dreams that came to pass, dealt with nightmares at one given point, was able to mentally block that out, and so forth. And the reason why I tell that little detail about myself is because I'm very well aware of the quote-unquote spirit world that is around us, very aware of it. But an issue that I have seen over my years in all these fields is how we, especially as worshipers of the Most High, as followers of the Messiah, we over spiritualize a lot of things. We blame a lot of things on the devil, or we try to conjure up some demon. Oh, the demon did it. And oh, that's some kind of witchcraft attack stuff that ain't going on. That's not to say that those things do not go on, but when that's the first thing that you jump to every time, that shows a major imbalance in your discernment and your understanding. But anyway, let's get to my review. So the very first thing that I noticed throughout the entire movie is we have a very trauma-ridden family. You know, we have a mother who has a drinking problem. She was SA'd, saying that for, TikTok purposes later. There's no telling what else she's been. She's possibly been used by, companions, men that she's been with in the past. We have children that have watched their mother go through alcohol abuse, potential drug abuse, just all of these things. And no telling what her mother has been through. So I said all that today, and that's just the details that was in the movie. I'm not talking about what was in the documentary. We have a trauma-ridden environment. So therefore, that can potentially be, not saying it is, but it can potentially be a festering ground for negative spiritual activity. But again, balance. That is not me saying that that is always the case, because it is not always the case. There is not a demon behind every doorknob, and there is not a witch up under every bush trying to curse you. And anybody who teaches you otherwise is just fear-mongering. We're operating from a place of fear and paranoia. 9 times out of 10, those things are not going on at that particular time. Now, one of the points that irked me and has been my rallying cry, if you will, since I've been in quote-unquote ministry, though I despise that cliched term, when the grandmother went to her current pastor and told her what was going on and trying to find help and this, that, and the third, the pastor told her, "We don't do that here. Try another church." This to me was a phenomenal representation of ill-equipped churches, congregations, groupings, synagogues, whatever, and ill-equipped leaders that have not a clue as to what they are doing. It is, of course, my personal opinion that every church, synagogue, congregation, gathering, assembly, whatever you call yourself, should be equipped to do deliverance. Now, you say, well, there are some that don't believe in that. And it's like, okay, I understand that. However, it is my personal belief that they should be equipped. And if they don't believe in it, then the very least they should be equipped with is connections. They should be equipped with connections to other congregations that actively do deliverance and are reputable, key term there, that are reputable in their practice of deliverance. And they should be able to send them to that. Well, we don't do that here, but we have some connections here that you could possibly try that may be able to help you. This is another point, and I'm not going to get off on a rabbit trail, why I have always, for years, emphasized why we need unity in the body of Messiah. Because what one part of the body cannot do, another part can. And we should all be unified and connected in the least bit in that, well, we don't believe in that, but somebody that we do know might be able to help you with that, so let's send you over to them. That's the least that we can do. And yes, as a spiritual counselor, I am also an avid believer in the fact of you should have a psychological exam in some form or another. Because one of my things that I've quoted for years, you cannot cast out a mental illness and you cannot medicate a demon. Calling a mental illness a demon is going to produce fruitlessness in your deliverance because you are trying to cast out an entity that is not there. But anyway, as y'all see, I'm trying to get through this really fast. Small point, but very important. The apostle that did the deliverance, she did it by herself. That is a cardinal rule in any type of deliverance ministry. Never conduct a deliverance by yourself. Now, you may say, well, she wasn't by herself. She had the mother. The mother had just got, quote unquote, saved, as people, a cliche term that people like to use. She had just rededicated her life to the Most High like 24 hours prior or something. So, what help is she going to be? You know, she has no experience in that realm at all. My recommendation is, at the very least, you have two people that are equipped to be able to do this. But the more the merrier, in the sense of as long as they are strong believers and they have been trained to do deliverance ministry, they know the ins and outs of all this stuff, because you never know what could happen in that particular moment. So it is always good to have a support system, spiritually and otherwise. I can already tell that there are going to be other videos because people are going to ask questions and it's going to make me bring out other things. But these last 2 points. Number one, psychological warfare. That's all spiritual warfare is. It is psychological warfare. An evil spirit, an entity, a demon, a negative spirit, whatever in the world you want to call it, their goal is to attack your mind. Make you see things that are not there, make you hear or perceive things that are not there, insert lies into your mind, get you to believe negatively about yourself or about others, convince you that you can't trust the people that are around you, that you've known for years, that you know beyond the shadow of a doubt, that you could trust them spiritually or otherwise. Evil spirits want to talk you out of that. Because what's the old saying? A house divided cannot stand? Well, there you go. But as a side note, this is always why I have emphasized for years the importance of self-love and self-care. And what I mean by that is taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally, taking care of your mental and emotional well-being, doing your best to remove stress out of your life and remove conflict out of your life. There's times when those things are unavoidable in life. But however, it stands to reason that keeping yourself strong mentally and emotionally, not just spiritually, would help to promote a stronger atmosphere of peace and safety and whatever in the world else that you need in that particular moment, thus making it harder when a spiritual attack does come along. It makes it harder for any supposed or alleged entity to infiltrate and talk you into something negative because you've already been reinforcing yourself with the word or with positive affirmations, or you've been keeping yourself mentally and emotionally strong, etc. Now, my last point, because this is as condensed as I could have made it, I didn't have time to compare and contrast everything with the documentary versus the movie as far as the ins and outs. And yes, of course, there's even arguments and allegations that all of it was faked and it was just purely psychological and just all of that. But I'm not here to get into that. What I will say is another thing that I have said for years is Hollywood sensationalizes the demonic. Some of you may say that that's no surprise. And of course it's no surprise. But that is the one thing that has always irked me about any horror movie in that genre that portrays any type of deliverance or exorcism or whatever verbiage you want to use. The demonic is always sensationalized as just being this such powerful, just like, oh my, this, that, and the third, and whatever. But the power of the Most High is minimized as to you're just on your last edge trying to beat back this almost insurmountable force of, quote unquote, the devil. This, of course, is not the case in reality. In my own experience as a deliverance minister, I have not experienced things levitating, things flying around and being thrown at me and this and that and the third. And yes, I do take certain spiritual precautions when it comes to that. beforehand, because I don't tolerate a lot of noise. And yes, that'll be a later video as well. But I just want to leave and reassure everyone that the demonic is not anywhere close to being as powerful as Hollywood portrays it. Unfortunately, with this dynamic that has been painted in movies and such, we see this almost yin and yang thing, like it's, the light side being the Most High, the divine, Yah, Elyon, whatever you call him, and you got the devil, which is the yang, the black, the dark, the evil, the negative, whatever you want to call it. And it's like this equal push and pull type thing. And that's not the case at all. There is no balance when it comes to that, because the Most High is who he is, and quote unquote the devil and evil spirits and all this, they are not even a molecule of a speck of dust beneath the fingernails of the Most High in the power that they have. Because at the end of the day, they are only allowed to do what the Most High allows them to do. But that is, of course, another conversation. So I just want to reassure everybody and leave on this note that do not let movies like this frighten you into just, again, getting into that mentality of worrying about demons and this and all of this, worried about, oh my, is there a demon under this chair? No, there's not. Calm down. Because again, that goes back to psychological warfare. When you are dwelling on negative emotions, to use a term that is used in more spiritual circles, you're lowering your vibration. You're vibrating at a lower level. You're operating in a more negative space. So when your quote-unquote vibration is not as high, when you're not dwelling on the things above, when you're not meditating on the good things, meditating on things that are good and kind and praiseworthy, as the scripture says meditate on these things or think upon these things. There is a reason why we are told to meditate upon these things. There's a reason why scripture says, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Yah, my strength and my redeemer. There's a reason why it says that, because your meditation, the thoughts that you have, are just as powerful and just as important as the words that come forth out of your mouth. But anyway, beloved, I have talked long enough. Just leaving on the last and final note, please, as I said in my previous post before this, please stop with the whole, well, I'm not going to watch that movie because that's inviting demons into your house. That is a lie. That is superstition and paranoia that we have seen perpetuated mainly in the church collectively. And there is no scriptural grounds, no scriptural basis for it at all. If people are still perpetuating that, it's because they do not know how demons and evil spirits operate. That is just not how that works. And you say, well, I watched something like that, and I heard tapping and this, that, and third. 9 times out of 10, that tapping and that whatever was already going on in your house before, but because psychologically, again, your adrenaline levels are raised because you've been engrossed in a movie for however long, and you've been sitting there, on the edge of your seat. Now that your adrenaline levels are higher and you're operating in a certain state of fear and anxiety, now you're on the edge, and everything that you hear is like, oh, make you jump. Oh, what was that? Oh, what was this? What was that? 9 times out of 10, it was already there before. And if it wasn't, 9 times out of 10, it is not what you think it is. So that being said, this is definitely going to turn into a whole series of videos about biblical deliverance. That's just my review of the movie. But let's keep talking about biblical deliverance, and let's keep debunking that which is false, that which is not biblical when it comes to deliverance, what actual biblical deliverance is versus what Hollywood has sensationalized it to be, or even some of the false doctrines and false things that have been perpetuated by a variety of Christian and other groups and calling it deliverance from evil spirits. But anyway, love and blessings, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and stick around for more videos on biblical deliverance. Bye, y'all.